So welcome. My name is Chandra Dasa. I work for the Buddhist Centre online. It's very beautiful to see all these faces. I'm never tired of it. I'm never tired of the jeweled beauty of a sort of illuminated screen full of Dharma feeders. Just kind of arise out of nowhere and then vanish back into nowhere afterwards. It's lovely. I'll not say too much before we get going, just a little idea of the order of service, as it were. So we're going to start with an introduction to the evening, really, from Tara Dakini and Vajratara from the Abhiratna Trust and Subhadramati. It's really wonderful to have the three of them with us this evening. And then we're going to transfer over to Padmavajra Retreat Centre, where amazingly the community have interrupted, or not interrupted, that's the wrong word. They've incorporated into their ongoing retreat this evening and this talk by Padmavajra, which is amazingly generous. Afterwards, we're going to have a response to that talk from Karmavajra. If you want to wave Karmavajra in India, so people can see you, yeah. And then Padmavajra is going to leave us. They're going to go off and continue with their retreat, and we're going to switch over to the London Buddhist Centre with wonderful Yanavacha, who's going to lead us for a half hour or so in some practice, in a way, a good space to just absorb what Padmavajra said. And then we're going to swing over to Adhisthana to round off the evening with some ritual and some final words from the Abhiratna Trust at the end. And before we begin all that, I'd just like to thank Abhiratna for this absolutely amazing initiative. So much work has been going on behind the scenes, and it's really going to help. You'll hear a little more about that in a minute. Yeah, we'll be hearing, as I say, from Tara Dakini and Mahashraddha, and we'll keep you updated as the evening goes on in terms of how we're doing with our totals. Since they won't be here at the end, just thanks to you, Padmavajra, and to the Padmavajra community for just being willing to come here at such short notice and do this, and also to the LBC and Adhisthana community. This degree of coming together internationally just would not be possible without your communities, so thank you very much for that. Essentially, we're here for two reasons. One is to sit in solidarity with our community in India, and the other is to take the rare opportunity to make a quantifiable, very direct difference in someone's life. I don't know about you, I've got a raft of things that I give relatively small amounts of money to every month. And sometimes it does seem a bit abstract. Like I couldn't really tell you what it does. I know it does some good. Today, you know exactly what will happen. Anything you can give will save lives and save livelihoods for a long time, actually. You know, it will give us the capacity to help for a long time. So my message from our team is, please give whatever you can give it. I bet you most of us who are here have already given to this appeal. So let's give again. Hey, let's just give again. Make your mental calculation. What can I give up in order to give more? What can wait this month? Let's just do it. Give that amount, give a bit more. Just don't hesitate. And if you're in any doubt, we'll provide helpful reminders throughout the evening about how you can do that. I was messaging with Arya Katie yesterday about the order's work in India at the moment, and it seemed to come down to one thing, which is a very deep duty of care for each other that's just alive in the order in India. That's what's driving their amazing efforts, which have been undertaken just in hugely difficult conditions through this crisis, perhaps to us unimaginably difficult conditions. That's no surprise. Order members in India make giant efforts all year round just to bring the Dharma to people. And the loss of any one of our sisters and brothers there is a tragedy. I don't know about you, but getting the emails every day with the names and faces of order members who died, I was particularly struck by Achala Chitta and the little detail that you gave Karmavajra that he'd taken early retirement at age 49 and was ready to dedicate the rest of his life to the Dharma. So in a way, in that spirit, I think supporting Abhiratna is a duty of love for us as a community. And it's also an investment in the future of the Dharma and of our sisters and brothers who work so incredibly hard to keep it alive. So let's all do our part and make the kind of difference with our wallets that we're fortunate enough to be able to make. And with that, I'm going to hand over to you, Tara Dakini. Thanks.
Thanks, Chandradasa, and thank you to you too for bringing this all together in at really short notice. Yeah, so I look after the grants for the Bharatna Trust, and I'm sitting here in Glasgow. I'm sitting comfortably on my settee, a bit nervous, I must say. I've got a fridge full of food. I've been vaccinated. I feel pretty safe, actually. If I was an order member in India right now, I might well not be feeling so safe. We're hearing all kinds of distressing tales, and you'll know, as just been mentioned, that of the 705 order members in India, we've recently lost 8 of them to COVID. And what we're also hearing is that order members throughout India are being really affected by COVID, either directly, and more and more order members are becoming ill with COVID because it's so rampant, especially in Maharashtra. But they're also really supporting their Sangha, supporting their Mitra friends, and helping their families, their extended families. Many of them have lost their livelihoods. Some order members live on daily wages, something that we probably can't find easy to get our heads around. And some people lost their livelihoods last year and haven't been able to yet find work again. And they might not be just supporting themselves and one other person, but a whole family. So it's really having such a big effect. And why we come in is that the Bharatna Trust started 15 years ago to give grants to individual order members, wherever they are in the world, who are experiencing, for whatever reason, some degree of financial difficulty or hardship. So we don't give to projects or groups. We just give to individual named order members. And last year we started a COVID emergency fund to give to people around the world in 7 different countries who are affected by COVID. And that worked really well. They're fairly modest sized grants, under £1,000 usually, but it really helps people, to get themselves going, or, to get things together for food and bills in relatively short term. But this is a whole different, more severe scenario. As I said, more people are becoming unwell. Now you'll be reading in the news about difficulties with hospitals turning people away. Older members maybe not being able to afford to go to a private hospital for food, or for medicine, or even in oxygen in some cases. So we've really extended our remit, and we're helping people in different ways than we have before. And we also realize that because people's livelihoods are so affected, that this is going to go on probably for the rest of this year. So originally we made a really small appeal to help 66 people, including 15 people in hospital. And within, overnight after we launched it on Friday, we'd gone past that total. And now we've raised, I think, £98,000. This is giving us enormous potential to help people in the order and their friends and their families throughout this year. So we're tremendously grateful already. But the more you can give, the more we can do, basically. I don't think I want to say very much more. I know we're going to hear from Padmavajra later. But if you are able to give today, that's our target, £108,000. I think that's 11 million rupees approximately, or 125,000 euros, or 150,000 US dollars. So that gives you a kind of an idea of what we'd be able to do with that money to help individual people, men and women in the order in India. So I'm going to hand over to Vajratara and Subhadramati at Taraloka. Thanks very much.
Thank you very, very much, Tara Dalkany. And yeah, we're here at Taraloka, Vajratara and I and our team. We're actually here to lead 2 ordination retreats. 20 women are going to get ordained. And being here tonight feels absolutely of a piece with that to us. It doesn't feel in any way separate because we're talking about the order. And I arrived first of all, and just as I arrived, the news was coming in of the deaths in India, and the tragedy of that was, really nearly overwhelming me. And I was sitting here in this shrine room the other morning just praying, what can I do? Please let there be something I can do. And then I looked at my emails and there was a message from Chandra Dasa saying, do you want to be part of this evening? And I knew without even asking her that Vajratara would be as well. And also Dani Uta and Hridaya Gita are here as well, and Charlotte. I didn't even have to ask them. I knew they would want to help. So I'm delighted. Vajratara is going to just talk to us a bit about her experience of India and the order in India.
Thank you. Yes, I'm not actually from the Abhayaratna Trust. I'm from the India Dharma Trust, but I'm very much wholeheartedly supporting the Abhayaratna Trust campaign at the moment because, well, I know the enormous capacity of the order in India and what the order in India can do and their responsiveness to any situation that they find themselves in. And I want to respond to them as they need us now. And I was thinking about my work in India when I'm working with what we call the team. They're kind of like the crack team, the A team. And some of the things that they do. So, for example, when they saw that not many people in the slums were coming into contact with the Dharma, and they saw that young men were joining gangs and getting into criminal behavior in the slums, they decided to put on karate classes. And when they saw that the more educated people were not coming to the classes in certain areas, they just set up a Buddhist center within the center of Nagpur to enable those people to come. They've done things like set up retreats for 6,000 people, a kind of retreat, which is a whole festival, a whole kind of village created when they saw that more people wanted to go on retreat than the capacity was available at that time. And some of you will know that team because they also put on the Order Convention in India, which was the last time many of us went to India. What you may not know was that the time of the International Order Convention in India was that there were some gangsters trying to take over our land and who were coming to the land every day armed and ready for a fight. And what you may not know was that team was in the background sorting all that out. And I actually saw those gangsters arrive on the land and how they responded to them with calm, presence, kindness, dignity. And what I realized at that time was, how much difficulty the order in India faces on an everyday level. It's not unusual for order members to go and teach the classes in very, very remote areas of India after a 24, 48-hour train journey, straight off the train, right into leading a retreat or workshops to spread the Dharma. There is nothing they wouldn't do for the Dharma, nothing at all. And what I want to do is respond to them as they need it, just to give them the conditions they need to get through this crisis so that they can do what they love and what they're absolutely prepared to give their all to, which is to spread the message of the Buddha and Baba Sahib in India.
Thank you, Vajratara. When I hear stories like that, and I've heard those stories and many more, and I'm not even a fraction of all the stories, well, I don't know what I am actually. I just know that I couldn't do that. I haven't got the energy. People think I'm energetic, but I tell you, I haven't got 100th of the energy of the order members I hear about in India. I haven't got 1,000th of the courage. I haven't got, 1,000th of the dedication. I just can't imagine being able to muster all that up. What I can imagine mustering up is 150 pounds. It seems like such a measly amount to help to, save the lives of these order members who the world can't afford to lose. it feels like for the sake of that, I just want to say, like, please give £150, please muster that up. If you're rich, give 10 times that amount or 100 times that amount. But, it just seems like such a small amount. I think, like, every order member is a precious resource, every person's a precious resource, but I think our order members in India are a resource that I probably can't even begin to say, because I probably don't even know myself. But, they themselves, as we heard from Vajra, and we will hear later, they're going out and, saving people's lives by their work, saving their lives by bringing them the Dharma. Each one of them who we can help can then go on to help, thousands more people. So yeah, please do give the suggested £150 to bring medical supplies and oxygen as soon as those order members need it. And as Tara Darkany said, the situation will just go on. So we really need as much money as possible. So yeah, give it now. Thank you. And I'll hand back to Chandra Dasa.
Thanks very much. Yeah, I mean, the urgency couldn't be clearer. So please, throughout the evening, do just, treat it as an open space. It's a bit like wander in and out of the practice that's going on, give some money. If you get distracted in meditation later, just go and give some money, come back. It'll be a tremendous help for your concentration. It's my delightful job, just very briefly, to hand over to Padmavajra and the Padmaloka community. There's so much I could say about Padmavajra. He's been a really good friend to me for a long time. He gave me my name, which I'll be eternally grateful for. The main thing that comes to mind right in this moment is just looking at you, Padmavajra, with that amazing community around you in that space that so many of us are familiar with. And that's the thing that's on my mind, just through our correspondence the last couple of days, is how much you can build in community, just like a sort of spiritual battery that we can all rely on to be there when we need it. And the ease with which you said yes to this and the speed with which it came together is just a testament to the power of community that you've built at Padmaloka through all these years. I'm just wondering if sometimes I take it for granted. I probably do. So I'm going to vow try not to take it for granted ever again. It's a very beautiful reminder to see on my screen. So I'm going to make everybody else vanish into the background now, and then we're going to switch over to the to the Padmaloka community. And
thank you very much, Chandra Dasa. Namo Buddhaya, Jai Bhim. It's very good to be with you all this evening. It's a great honour, actually, to have been asked to, as Chandra Dasa said, give a Dharma talk. I was very moved. I can't really add to what's been said so beautifully by other people about the effect of hearing about the deaths and the terrible plight of Indian order members. So I won't add to that because, yes, Chandra Dasa asked me to give a Dharma talk, and you might not know, but I actually lived in India. I haven't lived in India for a long time because of my own limitations, but I did live in India for quite a long time, and in Maharashtra especially. And Maharashtra is being hit very, very hard by COVID, and there's quite a bit of my heart in Maharashtra. I probably learnt more about the Dharma from Indian order members and mitras and friends than probably anybody else other than Bhante Sangharakshita. And I thought it's very important that we do things properly. So we must start in a proper way by honouring the Buddha, Baba Saheb Ambedkar and Bhante. So I'm going to ask David, first of all, to come forward to make offerings to the Buddha and Padmasambhava. And then Vidyadhaka to offer to Bodhisattva Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar. and Pragnahridaya to offer to an image of our beloved Bhante Urgyen Sangharakshita. Thank you very much. Those who identify with the battered and the beaten, mark them as saints, for they dwell in the divine. Their heart is soft on the outside and soft on the inside. Say, it's like butter. For they hold the forsaken close to their heart. They treat the enslaved as their own. Tucker says, I won't be tired of repeating, such a person is the divine in person. That was a free translation of an Abhanga by Sant Tukaram, a great Bhakti sant of Maharashtra, translated from Old Marathi. It's a bit of a free rendering, I have to admit, but it came to my mind over the last few days. It came to my mind because of this sense of identifying. His verses, a real saint is someone who identifies with the battered, with the beaten, with the forsaken, with the outcast, with the downtrodden. And the person who is a real saint, their heart is soft. Their heart is soft on the inside, soft on the outside. Say it's like butter, says Tukaram. And this all was coming to my mind in the last few days. And it was coming to my mind because I was asking myself in meditation, I was asking myself in times of reflection, I was asking myself after hearing from Chandradasa, what is really the essence of this life, of this Dhamma life, of this spiritual life? What is it that we're really doing? Where are we really going? What is the end? What is the middle? What is the beginning? What is this life really about? And I think I was being told what it was really about from the responses to brothers and sisters in India, and knowing how my brothers and sisters in India are, the example that they've given me. What we're really doing, beginning, middle, and end, from the beginning of the path to the end of the path, what we are aiming to do is to become as responsive as possible. It's all about responsiveness. And there's this very, very beautiful word in Pali and Sanskrit, which used to be used quite a lot in our movement, perhaps not so much. I first heard it from Bhante in seminar when we were studying the Sigalavada Sutta seminar. It's this beautiful word, anukampa. Anukampa. Anukampa means to shake with, to quake with, to tremble with. That's Dharma life, from the beginning into the middle and the end, all the way from now to enlightenment. It's learning to tremble with, on ever deeper levels, on ever wider levels, with every single other form of life, every single living being. That is what Dharma life really is, beginning, middle, and end. There is no other life. The great master Atisha, who did so much to take the Dhamma to Tibet, was once asked, what is the goal of the spiritual life? What is the goal of the Dharma life? What is the highest essence, if you like, of the spiritual life? And he said immediately, the goal of the spiritual life is the essence of voidness and compassion. The essence of voidness and compassion. One word, shunyata karuna garbha. The essence of voidness and compassion. That's all Dharma practice is for that end. Bhante in his seminar on this said, well, the essence of emptiness, voidness is compassion, and the essence of compassion is emptiness. This is nothing other than anukampa. This is nothing other than trembling with. Shunyata, emptiness, these have nothing to do with metaphysics and complicated mind trips and all sorts of weird philosophies. Nothing to do with that. It's all about trembling with, quaking with another. Self is always in relation to other. It's always in relation to other. And unless we're trembling with others, really taking them in, trembling with what's going on for them and responding absolutely accurately to their need, then there is no Dharma life. We're not there yet. We haven't started. Doesn't matter. You could have most amazing meditations, most amazing kind of philosophical insights, but unless we're identifying with the battered and beaten, unless our hearts are soft like butter on the inside and the outside, so that there is nothing between us and others, we haven't started. We haven't even begun. And it is the start of the enlightenment path and the end of the enlightenment path. It's so very important to remember this. And actually, you all are. Everybody is. I mean, I've been so almost shocked in the positive sense by the incredible responsiveness of the Sangha, the incredible responsiveness to the Sangha, to our brothers and sisters in India. And it's so appropriate. I've been having a lot of memories of my time in Maharashtra, particularly in Bombay. I lived in Pune, I lived in Bombay, and I spent a lot of time in Nagpur. And I know some of the more obscure parts of Maharashtra. I never went to India as a tourist. I was entirely immersed in our Sangha in India when I lived there. So I know the sugar towns and railway towns of India pretty well as well. I know all those kinds of places. But when I lived in Bombay, I for some reason, I've been thinking a lot about my time in Bombay, and I've been thinking a lot of memories about an order member named Bodhi Sen. Bodhi Sen, I don't know if Bodhi Sen's here tonight, but if any friends of Bodhi Sen are here tonight, can you please give him my Jai Bhim and tell him that I am remembering him and I honor him and I love him and I'm grateful to him. And what am I grateful to him for? I'm grateful to him because he taught me all about responsiveness. He was the living example of what Vajratara was talking about, those other examples of order members' responsiveness. So I was living in Bombay, and Bodhi Sen was one of the happiest people. He's one of the happiest people I've ever met in my life. He lived with his wife and children in one of the jewels. I think he's still there. I don't know if he's still living in these jewels, these sort of tenement blocks in downtown Bombay. And he would turn up every day where I was staying in the little community that we had. And he'd come to talk to me about the programs that we were going to do that week. Programs being the Karakram, the program being the Dharma talk, which we were doing all over Bombay because so many Buddhist localities in Bombay, so many Buddhist areas. And he'd come in and tell me all the different places we were going to that week, all the different things that he'd set up. And this would involve traveling very, very long distances on Bombay Municipal Transport, the local, as it's called, the suburban railway, BEST, was it Bombay surface transport, the buses, basically. Very, very rough travel. Anyway, one day, then he'd come round when we went to these places and we'd go off to teach. It was every night of the week. Anyway, one day I was ill. I'd gone down with some terrible fever, as you do in India, and I really felt at death's door. And I thought, well, I can't go to the program tonight. That's just not possible. And Bodhi-sen came round and said, come on, it's time to go. I said, Bodhi-sen, I've got a terribly high fever. I'm really ill. It was one of those, where you're really dizzy and you think you're you think you could die any minute. Bodhi-sen's face fell with such sadness and dismay. And he said, but Padmavajra, this is a new place. This is the sweeper colony in Bombay Central. This is a new place. We have to go. And I said, but Bodhi-sen, I'm dying. I'm really sick. I really don't think I can go. But Padmavajra, we have to go. Please, just come and sit. Just come and sit, chant the refugees and precept, and then we'll go. Just please, and I said, okay, but we're not going by bus. That's fine. We're going by taxi and we're coming back by taxi. We had hardly any money, but I thought, I'm not going to make it if I go by bus. And we went, and of course, the people had transformed their slum into a paradise. Fairy lights everywhere, a beautiful shrine, incredible hospitality. And we sat down and I said to Bodhi-sen, I'll say a few words. And Bodhi-sen was my interpreter as well. And he could make my English into really down-to-earth Marathi, really communicating to the people exactly as they needed to hear it, making me better in my speaking. And the thing was, I just went on and on and on and on, and I know time's passing as we speak, and I was sort of ecstatic, and I learned something that evening about responding, about responsiveness. I learned something about responding to a man who was utterly in love with the Dharma and full of gratitude for the Dharma, full of the liberating Dhamma that Dr. Ambedkar and Bhante had transmitted him. And all he wanted to do, his whole life, was dedicated to sharing that as widely as possible. And the whole idea of having, as it were, personal needs, including sort of health needs, was completely absent, completely vanished. I could have done a thing, I'm really damaging myself through doing this, but I didn't damage myself. I got ecstatic. I got completely high giving that talk. I was in another dimension, combination, I guess, of fever, the incredible inspiration of the people, and the Dharma itself, the living Dhamma, and the feeling of tremendous devotion from the people. So responsiveness, anukampa, learning to tremble with one another, starting, yes, with our loved ones, and starting very, very strongly with our Sangha, with our spiritual community. Padmavajra has an enormous amount of history. We've been here since 1976. That's when it was founded by Sangharakshita. We feel this very, very strongly in the community. We're very grateful to everybody who's contributed to Padmavajra. We feel a very strong sense of tradition and sort of lineage. We're very, very conscious of that. We're not just making it up now. We benefit so much from, the responsiveness of all our brothers before us. And part of this history includes what is now our dining room, which is not used. Well, it's used for table tennis at the moment. It's not used because nobody's coming and storing some of our stuff. But when it was a shrine room, there were very important lectures given in there by Sangharakshita. And one lecture that was given there, a very important lecture, which I've been rereading, is a lecture called A Case of Dysentery. a case of dysentery. And I was present at that lecture, given, I think, in 80 something, I think. It was an order weekend. We heard, oh, Banti's going to be giving a talk. Everybody needs to come on this order weekend. And he started off making jokes about the title. You know, he thought it was, perhaps he thought it would look good in the talk catalogue, a case of diarrhea, a case of dysentery, rather than the symbolism of the tantric this and that. He thought it was a nice down to earth sort of title. And we were all laughing. And then it got very serious. It got very serious because he told the story of the Buddha and Ananda at Rajgriha or Shravasti, I forget where, going the rounds of the monks, their rooms, and finding a monk fallen in his own excrement, suffering from that terrible disease of dysentery. And the Buddha and Ananda immediately go to help him, and they ask him, well, is there no one to care for you? Why don't the brethren care for you? Why don't the other monks care for you? And he just says, because I am useless to them, Bhagwan. Because I am useless to them. So immediately the Buddha and Ananda clean him up, lay him on the bed, make him comfortable, bring him water. And then the Buddha gathers the monks and speaks very, very strongly to them. Well, first ask them, is this true? You've just left him because you feel he's useless. And they all say yes. And then the Buddha gives a very strong communication to them. And I'll mention that in a minute, what he says to them. But I've been thinking about that. That when Bhante gave that talk, he was very concerned about the neglect within the Sangha, our order at that time. We could be neglectful of one another. People didn't look out for each other, especially in communities. I think especially in men's communities, I should say, people could be left. But it's not like that now. And this is evidence of that. There's this tremendous responsiveness to the needs of people within the Sangha far away in India. It's very moving and inspiring to see the change of culture, the maturing within the Sangha, but I'm sure we don't always respond as we should. But there is that immediate response. And in this way, we really are following what our teacher, Bhante, in drawing our attention to that text, but also to the Buddha himself and to enlightenment itself. Enlightenment itself. There's a teaching called the Five Paths, which Bhante has sort of transformed into our system of practice, the 5 great stages of the path. And in that particular exposition, the final stage of the path is called the stage of no more learning, the stage of fulfillment, or the stage of spontaneity. Spontaneity, or spontaneous compassionate action. Spontaneity or spontaneous compassionate action. That's the end of the path. That's enlightenment. And, reading the seminar, Bhante then starts to talk about what that is. Wow, we're going to be told what enlightenment is. Incredible. What is this spontaneity? What is spontaneous compassionate activity? It's simply, you do what needs to be done. You do what needs to be done. For a Buddha, there is nothing between him and what needs to be done, because there is no ignorance, there is no confusion, there is no attachment, there is no fear, there's obviously no aversion. There's just a clear-sighted situation, a completely clear vision of the other. There is pure anukampa, pure trembling with, pure identification with the other person. And then there is immediate effective action, immediate effective activity, whether it be a Dharma teaching, a clear Dharma teaching, whether it be a meditation instruction, whether it be sitting in silence, whether it be being absorbed in meditation, whether it be tending the sickness of a monk who is neglected, whether it be, tending to a mother insane with the loss of her child, whether it be a sweeper, an outcast, cowering against the wall when the Buddha comes into town and immediately sprinkling with him with the ambrosia of his blessing. This is enlightenment. This is what enlightenment really is. This is what liberation really is. We talk a lot about liberation and freedom. It's liberation into love. It's liberation into anukampa. That's real liberation. This is the liberation, the liberty that Dr. Ambedkar talks about, the complete freedom of movement between different communities, between different peoples. And especially we need to exemplify this in the Sangha. And it is so inspiring to see that this evening, so moving to be a part of this, what Bhante calls this vital mutual responsiveness. This is the way he defines, it's an early definition of going for refuge to the Sangha. We go for refuge from mere social contact to communication, which is a vital mutual responsiveness. Sometimes people puzzle over what the refuge is in the Sangha. What is the Sangha refuge? It's the vital mutual responsiveness. It's anukampa. It's trembling with. It's responding to each other's needs. It's responding to each other's inspirations. It's responding to each other's beauty, spiritual beauty. And yes, it's responding to each other's sickness and dying. Bhante, in his commentary on A Case of Dysentery, says some extraordinary things, very, very powerful things. And I want to read from him before I close. It is important that as members of the spiritual community, we realize that we have no true refuge except one another, no friends except one another, no real friends except spiritual friends. From the group, we can expect absolutely nothing, nor should we. We belong absolutely to the spiritual community, belong absolutely to one another. We should be prepared, therefore, to live and to die for one another. Otherwise, we've not really gone for refuge. Our future is one another's future. We are another's future. We have no future apart from one another. The Buddha says, if ye will not take care of each other, who else, I ask, will do so? If order members do not love one another, who else will love them? If order members do not inspire one another, who else will inspire them? If order members cannot be happy with one another, who else can they be happy with? If they cannot come together with one another, who else can they come together with? Perhaps we should enjoy one another's company more, appreciate one another more, value one another more. The Buddha certainly valued the monks highly. He says, brethren, he who would wait on me, let him wait on the sick. Or he who would serve the sick, he who would serve me, let him serve the sick. Bhante again, the Buddha is not being mystical or metaphysical here. He's dealing with the realities of life in the spiritual community. By the sick, he means sick members of the spiritual community. If one wants to wait upon the Buddha, one should wait upon them. Thus, the Buddha, in a sense, equates members of the spiritual community with himself. It would hardly be possible to value them more highly than that. Wow, that's incredible. The Buddha equates the members of the spiritual community with himself. So really serving and tending to one another. We're serving the Buddha. Interestingly enough, this story of the sick monk, I should just add a bit to it. In the Chinese Buddhist tradition, the story of the Buddha tending the sick monk is very, very important for the whole inspiration for healthcare among Chinese Buddhists. I was talking to a Chinese Buddhist scholar who showed me a photograph of a huge mural of the Buddha and Ananda tending the sick monk in a Buddhist hospital. And they take it that even just serving anybody who's sick, you're serving the Buddha. Incredible way of thinking about life, thinking about anukampa, thinking about trembling with one another. Perhaps every center should have a big mural of the Buddha tending, the Buddha and Ananda tending the sick monk, to remind us to really care for one another, to really care for one another all the time, not just for the special occasions, as it were, but all the time, in everything that we go through, in all our ups and downs. We need to have that tenderness towards one another, that anukampa, that trembling with, shaking with one another, making our hearts like butter, soft on the outside, soft on the inside. It's interesting, isn't it? The image of the Buddha, he's standing and he's walking among the monks. He's standing and kneeling and bending to tend to the sick monk with Ananda, his close friend and companion. In other words, the Buddha is active. He's the active Buddha. We tend to think of the Buddha, always think of the Buddha meditating. That's the typical image. But my goodness, think, the Buddha walked and walked and walked the dust roads of India. He traveled, he went. There's a recurring line in the Pali Canon which says, I went to them and said, I went to them. I went to those people. Dr. Ambedkar, of course, was very inspired by this and, makes it very clear that the Buddhists, should be very active in communicating their Dharma. And they should feel that they're serving mankind through the communication of the Dharma. And at our center in Nagpur, in Nagaloka, we've got a huge walking Buddha. This is so important that we remember this, that the Buddha is active out of this anukampa, this trembling with, this shaking with. And yes, we're manifesting that. We're manifesting that in our Sangha right now in relation to our brothers and sisters in India. The other day here on the retreat, we honored Dr. Ambedkar's birthday, rather modestly compared with India, but we did honor Baba Saheb's life. I told stories about Baba Saheb's life. And one of the things, of course, that is so important to understand about Dr. Ambedkar is that he believed, he's the most practical man you could imagine, the most extraordinarily practical man you could imagine, hard-headed, a rationalist, working in education, trade unionism, politics, to the highest degree, intensely practical. And yet he knew very, very early on, deep in the heart, that the only way you could completely transform India, that you could remove the stigma of caste and untouchability. Yes, you change all the laws, of course you do, but you have to change the heart. And that could only happen through religious change. That could only happen through Dhamma revolution. That could only happen in that way. That's the only way you could get the deep cultural change. That's what the Dhamma revolution is. And that's what our order members and mitras and friends in India are doing in India. They're working for that Dhamma revolution to completely change the culture, a complete change of values and attitudes, underpinning all the social change that is going on. So we really need to support this, really need to support our Indian Dhamma brothers and sisters, because they're bringing the Dhamma back to its homeland. They're bringing the Dhamma back to the land of the Buddha. That's what they're doing. They're bringing the Buddha home, if you like, back to Maharashtra, back to all the states of India, actually. So let's remember the Buddha who walks. And I think it's appropriate to end with another poem, a Buddhist poem by a Dalit Buddhist, a great Maharashtrian poet, modern poet named Daya Pawar. I don't know the Marathi, unfortunately, and I wouldn't be able to say it, but here's a very beautiful translation of his poem called the Buddha, translated by Eleanor Elliott and Jayant Karave. I never see you in Jetta's garden, sitting with your eyes closed, meditating in the lotus position, or in the Ajanta and Ellora caves with your stone lips sewn shut, sleeping the last sleep of your life. I only see you walking, talking, breathing gently, healingly on the sorrows of the poor and the weak, going from hut to hut in the life-destroying darkness with a torch in your hand, giving their suffering, which drains their blood like a contagious disease, a whole new meaning. Thank you.
So Padmavajra is going to respond to Padmavajra's talk on behalf of us all.
Yeah. Yes. So just sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Just I would like to thank you, Padmavajra, for a very inspiring talk. I'd say, I don't have any word to say again from my side. Actually, it's very inspiring talk. I'm very moved from this. So definitely, just I would like to express my gratitude for the Chandradasa, Padmavajra, and all of you. Actually, just first of all, I would like to introduce myself. Just I'm working, and my name is Dhamachari Karmavajra. You might heard from last few days by sending the notice from the death of the Indian Order member. So it's very sad for me to just what can say in this line this notice, but we are just like I can say I am helpless and unable to what I can say. Yeah, we can say helpless. That's the only words. But I'm working as an order convener from last 2 years, from 2014. And first time I feel that actually up to now I enjoy my work with with all order in India. We are nearly 700 order in India, and I'm working closely with all of them. So just I don't want to say much, but just I would like to share some few examples. Like just today itself, I sent one notice. One order member died, and he was just 53-year-old, and one order member is just like he 15 days before he admitted for the COVID treatment, but now he got the brain stroke, and maybe next 2 days you can get another news that dying of the very young order member. So it is the situation in India. It's like that. Even if we have the money, but we cannot do anything like that. But really, I want to appreciate your what can say support from the Indian order members, because you are supporting, you are giving the confidence actually through your money and all these things. So one another example, just like that, I would like to say just from last 1 year from the pandemic start, we are supporting the order members. So whose wife is suffering severe illness from cancer, and he's lost his job. So you are supporting like that order members actually. So that's why I would like to say big thank you for you to giving your support mentally and all the way you are doing this. That's why I feel all these things from the Padmavajra talk. So it is the things that we are expecting from the Sangha or from Brotherhood. And I am really feeling all these things from all of you. So once again, I would like to say thank you very much to all of you, especially Chandradasa and Padmavajra and whatever all you are available for this talk. So I really express my gratitude for all of you. So thank you very much. Jai Hind.
Thank you, Padmavajra. Thank you, Padmavajra. Maybe just before you go, Padmaloka, some good news and some sad news, just even during the course of this call. So we're now at £103,000 for the evening, so only £5,000 away from that initial target, and we've hardly got going, right? So we can easily blow through that, easily. But for those of you in the order, we get these emails whenever an order member dies, which is a kind of practice in itself. And just during Padmavajra's talk, another email came out saying that Prasanna Mitra had died today, another order member gone in India. So I don't think anybody actually needs reminding of how crucial this is, but just, use the word there, helpless. Padmavajra, it can feel helpless actually when that kind of stuff happens, but of course we're not, and Padmavajra's beautiful talk reminded us of just how we're not. So yeah, let's carry on through the evening, but let's take our leave first of Padmaloka community, just with one more thank you. Maybe we can just give a silent round of applause to them. Thank you very much. I hope the rest of the retreat is as beautiful as the shrine room makes it seem like it must be. So from one lovely space over to another, and from one deeply kind man to another, very happy to welcome my friend Jnana Bhattacharya.
Thank you, Chandradasa, and thank you, Kamavajra and Padmavajra. We'll meditate for about 15 or 20 minutes, so not very long. And partly it's a chance to absorb what we've heard from Padmavajra, and partly it's a chance to send our metta to all those in need. So what we'll do is we'll spend a little bit of time just settling into our bodies and connecting with a sense of open-heartedness. I'm sure all of us have been affected already by this evening and have already been affected by why we've all come together. And then Padmavajra's talk has both moved and inspired us, I'm sure. So let's just sit with an open heart and turn towards your own experience with metta. And then in the second stage, I'll ring a bell, and in the second stage, I'm going to read out the names of those Indian order members who have died in the last 2 weeks or so from COVID. There's 8 of them that I'll read out. And really, let's just send all our metta to them on their onward journey. Death isn't the end. They will be responding to this evening. They will be responding to our goodwill, our metta, our anukampa. And in a way, the connection doesn't die, even though the physical body does. So let's just connect with them, whether we knew them or not. Let's just hear their names and wish them well on their onward journey. And then in the third stage, we'll extend our metta, first of all, to all of those in India who are sick or bereaved or destitute in some way, in need, and then extend that to all beings all over the world. We're all in this crisis together. Some of us are more fortunate in this crisis as disparities open up, and like Taradakini was saying, I feel very, very fortunate and privileged to be living in the United Kingdom. But nevertheless, We are all in the same boat. Existentially, we're all in the same boat. And this pandemic is a worldwide pandemic. Let's just send our goodwill to all beings. Okay, so when you're ready, closing your eyes and taking a few deeper breaths. Perhaps as you breathe out, allowing the weight of your body to drop down, drop away through your seat, through the points of contact with the floor, into the earth. A sense of being grounded. And having a sense of any holding on in the body, any areas of tension, softening. Melting away. Noticing how we are in ourselves. Softening the heart like butter, soft on the inside and outside. And turning towards your own experience with metta. The metta bhavana. So the names of 8 order members who have died from COVID in India. Sending our metta to each and every one. Achala Chitta. Shakyaditya. Mahajeta. Nirmala Bodhi. Achala Siya. Kemamati. Niraj Bodhi. Prasanna Mitra. And we've just heard of another order member who is critically ill at the moment. Let's send him all our well-wishing, all our metta. Jnana Gosha. So extending our metta to the whole of the Sangha in India. So many bereaved, so many in fear, in sickness, in poverty. Friends and mitras and order members and their families. And extending more and more to include all beings, all of us and all beings. And if you want to, including not just the living, but also the dead. Trembling with all beings. And coming back to a sense of ourselves and a sense of all of us gathered, virtually gathered from so many parts of the world. Very good. Very good to be able to sit with you knowing that metta is a real force. It's not just a subjective, internal, mental state. It's a force. It's a force of good. And the fact that we can, as a Sangha, gather and send metta to those that have died as well as those that are living is something that we need to have real confidence in as a real contribution. It's a real contribution to the world. And of course, when we think of money, I think of money in this situation as dana, as metta made manifest. Metta made manifest. And I think that, well, we've heard of the heroism of order members in India, how they work so tirelessly against conditions that I can only begin to imagine. We've heard of that. We've heard of the fear and the crisis that they're facing, and not just the order members, but their families that are losing people, perhaps losing their employment. I heard of a family on Monday where there are 5 adults in India, and of course you have these extended family groupings living in the same household, which is of course part of the tragedy of that is the virus just spreads to the entire family. Excuse me. I heard of this family with 5 adults and 2 children. And all 5 adults have died. All 5 adults have died, and there are these 2 children left. It's unimaginable what people are facing. In a way, it's doesn't bear thinking about. But I feel very fortunate. Excuse me. I feel very fortunate to be in a position to give and to contribute. I felt so heartened when I received the email from a Bhayaratna Trust saying that there was something that we could do, because it's so easy to feel powerless, to feel helpless, and in a way to lose the initiative and to get swamped into feeling that there's nothing that we can do. But we can do something. I think that we also need to do something, well, I feel that I need to do something for myself, which is to give. When I've given, actually I've gained, I've benefited. So there are people in India who need our money, but I also think that we need to give. We need to give for ourselves, for our Dharma lives, and also so that we can feel connected as a Sangha, so that we don't feel alone in this crisis, so that we know that we're part of a larger community. And because we're Buddhist, I just want to tell you briefly what happened to me when I was ordained. I was ordained in India in 1999, and straight after my ordination, that day, after my public ordination, I was found myself in the midst of an Indian order convention. So 200 order members. It was much smaller at that time, the order in India. 200 order members gathered, and I was meeting them, most of them for the first time. And at that time, I was working as a fundraiser for the London Buddhist Centre. I mean, actually, I knew nothing about fundraising, and I was rubbish as a fundraiser. But I was trying to raise money for the LBC's retreat centre, Vajrasana. And this Indian order member called Padmavajra, we were chatting, we were talking, and he said, "What do you do, Jnanavacha?" Well, I said, "Oh, I worked for the LBC, and I'm trying to raise money for a retreat centre." And we chatted a little bit more, and then he said he wanted to give. He wanted to give to the LBC's retreat centre fundraiser. And I was embarrassed, and I said, no, that's not why I was telling you. You don't need to give, Padmavajra. It's just lovely that you want to, but you don't need to give. And he said, no, he wanted to give. And I said, why? Why do you want to give, Padmavajra? And he said, well, there are 3 reasons, Jnanavacha. He said, I feel a connection with you, Jnanavacha. I like you. And he'd only just met me. I feel a connection with you, and I want to give to a project that will make me feel connected with you. And then he said, the second reason is that I want a connection with the LBC. I will never go to Vajrasana, the LBC's retreat centre, but if I give, it connects me. I will feel connected with your centre and with the retreat centre. And then he said, thirdly, it's because I'm a Buddhist. That's why I want to give. And for me, that was a teaching that I'll never forget. I'll never forget. I'd just been ordained, and this man was exemplifying what it is to be a Buddhist. It was metta made manifest. And then he said, so he paused and said, let me work out how much I can give. And he said, I can probably, if I save, I can save the equivalent of £1 every month. And I want to do that for a year. I want to give £12. And I was so moved. I'm so privileged to be part of a Sangha where somebody in India wants to give, has given to the London Buddhist Centre when we were trying to raise money for hundreds of thousands of pounds of retreat centre. And now I feel privileged to be able to give back to Indian order members and their families at this time of great need. So let's just, I think I need to give. I think I need to keep giving, and I think we all need to give, because that is what connects us. That's what keeps our Sangha a Sangha. And well, as Padmavajra said, it's for no reason apart from we're Buddhists, and that's what we do. So let's give. Let's give £150 or more. Let's give more if we can to a Abhayaratna Trust. Let's give, and let's keep giving. And let's keep the metta flowing as well. Thank you. Thank you all. So I'm going to hand back to Chandradasa.
Thank you so much, Jnanavacha. Very beautifully said. I can attest to this, actually. I was just going to share the details of how to give again in the chat. You can probably just scroll back and see it. I'd really encourage you to share this appeal with other people, even people who are not Buddhists, people who are not Triratna Buddhists. I can tell you this works because I went round to see my landlady last night, who's 83, just to check on her, see if she was doing all right. And she said, oh, how are you? And I said, oh, I just had my vaccine. I had my first vaccine shot yesterday, and I felt a bit ill afterwards. And I said, it's probably just as well. We've got this event tomorrow, to do with the COVID crisis in India. She listened to a little bit of just me saying what was happening in India, and she just got her checkbook out and wrote a check. It was amazing. She's got no connection to Buddhism whatsoever, no connection to Triratna. She has a connection to me, but she really responded to the stories of people gathering just to be generous. So Please do share it widely. You'll see from Taradakini that we've gone through the target. So the target is gone. As Nyanavacha said, just let's give more. This is a great opportunity. Let's just give more. Yeah. So thank you, Nyanavacha. It'd be nice to have the LBC Shrine Room and Adhisthana Shrine together on screen. Oh, sorry, wrong one. I think I'd never used Zoom before. There you are, two lovely shrine rooms, two key spaces for our community, held so much history and so much love all these years. So we're going to transfer between them now and move from meditation into ritual.
Thank you. Well, thanks, Nyanavacha, for the meditation in particular. And I just felt like I really want to keep that meditative mood. So we'll just go into a puja, threefold puja. It's going to be very simple. We'll have a mantra. And in a way, I think ritual is just a really good way to sit with what we're actually really feeling. And then to be able to offer that up to the three jewels. In a way that kind of can really do justice to our connections, to our responsiveness, to our sense of solidarity with each other. So we'll just move into the threefold puja. I'd like to start with the traditional offerings to the shrine that I always enjoy when I've been in India. So I'm going to invite Sangadeva to make the offering to the Buddha. And I'll invite Sadanandi to garland Dr. Ambedkar. And Sataloka to garland Bhante Ugin Sangarakshita. And we'll make the traditional offering of a candle, if Sadanandi would make that offering. And an offering of incense of Sadaloka. An offering to our teachers, Buddha, Bhante, Dr. Ambedkar. to the three jewels, the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. So I found myself turning towards a poem of Bante's since around about November, December. I feel, what is compassion? What is compassion? And I think Bante brings out the mystery of that in this poem. So I'll read the poem, The Unseen Flower. We'll do the threefold puja. We'll have the Shakyamuni mantra after the second verse. And I just invite you to keep our Indian brothers and sisters and the Sangha there in your hearts and minds. As we chant these words or recite these words that are so familiar to us, see if you can really feel them fully in your heart, feel what the words really mean as we make our kind of offerings to the three jewels. Okay, just settling into your posture, and I'll read The Unseen Flower. Compassion is more than emotion. It is something that springs up in the emptiness, which is when you yourself are not there, so that you do not know anything about it. Nobody, in fact, knows anything about it. If they knew, it would not be compassion. But they can only smell the scent of the unseen flower that blooms in the heart of the void. The threefold puja, opening reverence. We reverence the Buddha.
We reverence the Buddha,
The perfectly enlightened one.
the perfectly enlightened one,
The shower of the way.
the shower of the way.
We reverence the Dharma.
We reverence the Dharma,
The teaching of the Buddha,
the teaching of the Buddha,
which leads from darkness to light.
which leads from darkness to light.
We reverence the Sangha,
We reverence the Sangha,
the fellowship of the Buddha's disciples,
the fellowship of the Buddha's disciples,
that inspires and guides.
that inspires and guides.
Reverence to the three jewels. We reverence the Buddha
We reverence the Buddha
and aspire to follow him.
and aspire to follow him.
The Buddha was born
The Buddha was born
as we are born.
as we are born.
What the Buddha overcame,
What the Buddha overcame,
we too can overcome.
we too can overcome.
What the Buddha attained,
What the Buddha attained,
we too can attain.
we too can attain.
We reverence the Dharma
We reverence the Dharma
and aspire to follow it
and aspire to follow it
with body, speech, and mind
with body, speech, and mind
until the end.
until the end.
The truth in all its aspects,
The truth in all its aspects,
the path in all its stages.
the path in all its stages.
We aspire to study,
We aspire to study,
practice,
practice,
realize.
realize.
We reverence the Sangha
We reverence the Sangha
and aspire to follow it.
and aspire to follow it.
The fellowship of those
The fellowship of
who
those
tread the way
who tread the way,
as one by one.
as one by one.
We make our own commitment,
We make our own commitment,
an ever widening circle.
an ever widening circle.
The Sangha grows.
The Sangha grows.
Muni Muni Maha Muni Shakya Muni Sadhu Muni Muni Maha Muni Shakya Muni Sadhu
Muni Muni Mahamuni Shakyamuni Sadhu. 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 Muni
Offerings to the Buddha. Reverencing the Buddha.
Reverencing the Buddha.
We offer flowers.
We offer flowers.
Flowers that today
Flowers that today
are fresh and sweetly blooming.
are fresh and sweetly blooming.
Flowers that tomorrow
Flowers that tomorrow
are faded and fallen.
are faded and fallen.
Our bodies too,
Our bodies too,
like flowers,
like
will
flowers,
pass away.
will pass away.
Reverencing the Buddha.
Reverencing the Buddha.
We offer candles.
We offer candles
To him who is the light.
to him who is the light.
We offer light.
We offer light
From his greater lamp.
from his greater lamp.
A lesser lamp
A lesser lamp
we light within us.
we light within us.
The lamp of Bodhi
The lamp of Bodhi
shining within our hearts.
shining within our hearts.
Reverencing the Buddha.
Reverencing the Buddha.
We offer incense.
We offer incense.
Incense whose fragrance
Incense whose fragrance
pervades the air.
pervades the air.
The fragrance of the perfect life.
The fragrance of the perfect life.
Sweeter than incense.
Sweeter than incense.
Spreads in all directions.
Spreads in all directions.
Throughout the world.
Throughout the world.
I invite you to join us in chanting the Dhammapangalata, the verses that protect the truth, protect the Dhamma, and protect, hopefully, our friends in India. Sabba papasa akaranam kusalasa upasampada Sachitada Parudhanam Etam Buddhana Sasanam Dhammam Chare Sucharitam Natam Ducharitam Chare Dhammachari Sukham Seti Asmim Loke Paramitra Natabata Dhammadaro Yavata Bahubasati Yocharapam Pisudvanam Dhammam Kayena Pasati Save Dhammadaro Hotiyo Dhammam Napamachati Nati me saranang anyam Buddho me saranang veram Etena sachavachena Hotu me jaya mangalam Nati me saranang anyam Dhammo me saranang veram Etena sachavachena Hotu me jaya mangalam Nati me saranang anyam Sangho me saranang veram Etena sachavachena Hotu me jaya mangalam Namo Buddhaya Namo Dhammaya Namo Sanghaya Sadhu Sadhu Sadhu. Thank you all. It's really lovely to be with you all. We're here, it's our community night tonight, so it's very fortunate for all of us, and I don't think we'd rather be anywhere else than with you all here this evening. I found myself on Sunday hearing of the deaths of our order brothers over the last week, just really agitated, a little bit like Yanavacha was saying. As I sat with that agitation more in the bodhicitta practice with the order on Sunday, I realized it was just because I couldn't control the situation and I couldn't prevent, sickness and death. That is what the Buddha teaches us, that these are part of life. And yet, somehow, I can't just sit back and accept those as facts of life. I do have a response. I think we all have a response. Padmavajra's talk, I think, just asking us to really feel and embody that responsiveness, I think is what the Buddhist life is all about. I think that's what Padmavajra was saying, but it's what the Buddhist life is all about. It's about our interconnection with each other, and I think the great solidarity we find with each other. I think when we share going for refuge, when we share the three jewels, when we share Triratna together, so how could we not respond to the crisis of our Indian brothers and sisters at the moment? It's just so heartening that the target keeps getting reset because of our incredible responsiveness and generosity. Even just tonight, we've raised, I think, enough to support maybe over 150 more order members who may be in need. And let's just keep giving. Let's just keep giving, because the crisis is not going to go away fast, I think. It's been an incredible time, the pandemic, for all of us. But in times of crisis, I think what it can draw on and what it challenges us to do is to find deeper resources of care, deeper resources of connection, and deeper resources of going beyond ourselves. So I'd like to echo what Chandradasa said at the beginning. Maybe you've given already. Maybe you could give more. I know that there's a sweet spot for myself. I think, okay, I could give that. Maybe I could just give a little bit more, but I can give more. I can give more because my Indian brothers and sisters have given so much to me, and I think so much to all of us. For anybody who's been to India and you've been on the end of the wonderful hospitality, generosity, kindness of our Indian brothers and sisters, it's really humbling, as Subhadramati said, what our brothers and sisters give in teaching and sharing the Dharma and supporting each other. It's humbling. We have so much here in the West in terms of our lifestyles, and somebody like me who's on support and has been for a long time, I can give. Any little bit I can give makes a difference. So here we are tonight. Let's keep sharing this appeal with others. I think that's one way we can help. If we've given and we can't give more, maybe you could encourage a friend to give more. And I was just remembering, just one last memory in the meditation as Yanavacha was, I was just thinking about what I've been given by Indian order members. Last time I was in India, I only took one bra. For some reason, that's all I packed. And I was there for over a month with one bra, stuck at a retreat center and no chance to get to a shop. Because we were setting up a convention, it was all really, really busy. The next thing we knew, we had 100 people coming. The next thing we knew, we had 350 people coming. So we're finding them beds. And after, maybe a week or so of, washing my bra out every night and hoping it would dry in the morning, I told my friend, And she said, "Oh, here, have mine." You know, I can't imagine myself saying the same to someone else. Maybe now I shall, but just incredible. Just literally the clothes off one's back, and the many, many gifts I've received that I think are just personal gifts from many Indian Order members is just makes me want to respond double, triple fold. So thanks for joining us here at Adhisthana. It's been a privilege to be able to share with you all this evening, and I'll hand back to, or maybe I'll hand straight to Mahashraddha.
Yes, thank you very much. The first thing I wanted, I'm just going to say a few words to wrap up the evening, but first of all, I just want to say a big thank you to everybody who's been involved in organising this evening. It's been a wonderful collage of facts and figures and spiritual depth and puja, meditation and so on. It's been a wonderful evening, and the Sangha at its best, maybe, the Dharma flowing through individuals to create a collective which is much, much more powerful than the individual. So thank you to everybody. And thank you to everybody who's given to the Bharat Trust appeal so far. Yeah, just keep giving. So my name is Mahashraddha, and I work for the Bharat Trust as its director. And it's an honour to serve the order, well, actually, and Triratna through my role at the Bharat Trust. And it's an honour to be working with such a committed and competent team of Jinavangsa, Taradakni, Padmavajra and Sila Jala. And together, I think we work really harmoniously well together, and we want to serve. Our passion is to serve the order through the Bharat Trust. And also we're supported by a very competent bunch of trustees. I think we're not just responding to individuals. Of course, we are responding to individuals in India. I think we're also responding in this appeal to the vision of the Dharma set out by Padmavajra at the beginning, that we can all shake with anukampa in solidarity with everybody else, and through that solidarity with other beings, out comes generosity. We respond to others through generosity. We respond to dukkha. So I just want to say a couple of things before I close. One of the practices, one of the many practices, several practices which I do as an order member, one of the most powerful is the Brahma Viharas meditation practice. It's a set of practices that I think we all know, and two of those are the Metta Bhavana and the Karuna Bhavana. And Karuna translates as compassion. So in this practice, we connect with the universal truth of suffering and generate or allow to arise compassion in response to that connection with dukkha. And it's a compassion that goes beyond likes and dislikes. It's a compassion that goes beyond the confines of space and time even. It's a compassion that connects with, vibrates with, resonates with the deep fundamental humanity of another being. And the fundamental part of that vibration is a natural urge to not want another to suffer. So whenever and wherever we encounter suffering, if Karuna is present in our experience, we want to do what we can to alleviate suffering. So India may seem a very, very long way away in terms of kilometers for many of us, but we can still express Karuna. We can still vibrate in sympathy, in empathy with our Indian brothers and sisters through anukampa, despite the geographical separation. So I'd encourage you to sit in meditation tomorrow morning, or this evening, and in meditation, if you're doing the Metta Bhavana or the Karuna Bhavana, just see if you can sit and allow anukampa to flow through you. Allow this trembling, this sympathetic trembling with others arise, and through that, see what happens. You might end up giving more to this appeal from that Anakampa. And what I find wonderful about Karuna is that you can respond to people even though you don't know them. You don't have to know people to respond to them with very powerful Karuna. You, by giving to this appeal, you will probably positively impact the lives of people who you will never meet. How wonderful is that? That we can have this wonderful impact on the universe. And the other thing I want to say is the crisis in India has brought to mind my dad's death, who died of COVID in January this year. And considering the circumstances, he had a very good death. In his last days, he was completely dependent upon oxygen, on an external supply of oxygen. In fact, he was being supplied with 15 litres of oxygen per minute. 15 litres of oxygen per minute. He'd become so dependent upon oxygen. But I was reflecting once I learned the crisis in COVID. What would it, in India, what would it have been like for my dad to have died without oxygen? One word: traumatic. It would have been traumatic for him. It would have been traumatic for us as a family, for him to have died gasping for oxygen. I don't want any brother or sister in India to be short of oxygen. Having been on the COVID ward in the UK, which is, I should imagine, quite privileged compared to India, I do not want people to die because of a shortage of oxygen. Our breath, as we know, is very dear to us. We just have to stop breathing for a while, and quite soon emotions of panic can arise quite quickly. So let's do what we can to prevent that from happening in India. With your help, we can ensure that people are not short of oxygen in the order members who oxygen are not short of it. So please do give, and we will do the rest. We'll make sure that your donation makes a difference. It might be to provide nourishing food to an order member and his or her family. It might be to provide payments for rent, to prevent the anxiety of homelessness from being an experience. It might be to provide oxygen. It might be to provide medicine. It might be to pay for hospital fees because there is no room in the government hospital for a desperately sick person, and so on. Your donation will make a difference. And we plan to keep you posted of what difference your donations are making by posting weekly videos from India on our website, www.abioratnatrust.org, for you to keep posted with what's going on in India. So that's all I wanted to say to conclude the evening. But again, I'd just like to say thank you very much indeed to everybody who's given, and thank you very much indeed to everybody who's been involved in this evening. And I urge you to sit in meditation either this evening or tomorrow morning, do the Padmavajra and really shake with Anakampa. And as a result, give. In fact, why not have a week of doing the Padmavajra and shaking with Anakampa and giving? You can give so much every day after a meditation. How about that? Think about it. Okay, so I'm going to hand over to Chandradasa now to complete the evening.
Thanks, Mahashratha. And yeah, please do really share this. This is just the beginning, right? That this is a chance for us to add another layer of depth to our connection as a community. Really bring to life, what was it Padmavajra said? Liberation into love. Isn't that beautiful? Liberation into love. That's about it. So yeah, share it, share this appeal, but also just share I suppose your experience of why it matters with your friends and family. Let people surprise you. Let people give. And yeah, let's build the community as a response to all of this. So I'd like to thank, in no particular order, Padmavajra for staying up so very late. It's so late. And there he is, just bright, shining example for us all. Thank you for coming and helping us respond in the West to the crisis in India. Thanks to the amazing team at Bhayaratna, only some of whom are here. They're just working tirelessly in the background. Thanks to Padmavajra and Vajratara for just jumping, well, not jumping out of the ordination retreat preps, because as they said, this is that work. So just amazing that they were so willing to come and interrupt that process. And thanks to the amazing community at Astana and at Padmaloka too. Let's just conjure up that fine group of men, like a sort of an aurora around Padmavajra at the start of his talk. So yeah, maybe you could all actually, I'm going to switch to gallery view. Maybe an appropriate way would be to just, whether you want to leave silently and mindfully, or whether you want to just unmute yourself and say your goodbyes before we all disappear like bubbles into the stream.
Thank you to Jnanavatra and the LBC as well, and to you, Chandradasa, and everyone at the Buddhist Centre Online. Thank you to everyone.
Yes, thank you, Taradakini and Mahashraddha, and everybody at Bhayaratna Trust, and Chandradasa for hosting this so beautifully.
Thank you very much, Chandradasa, and all of you. It's very nice privilege to be here in this meeting. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye. Thank you, Chandradasa. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Nanavach.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye, Bim, everybody.
Bye, Bim. Bye.
Good night.
Good night.
Bye, okay too.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bhayaratna Trust.